Greetings and bienvenue, everyone. I am Derek, the Chocolate Botanist, and today we're going to talk about earthworms, right? So if you want to learn about earthworms, there's a plethora of resources you can go to. New Soil, I will have it linked somewhere in the description, but it's a local Black-owned wormery, right? And they'll give you vermi-composting stuff. They sell vermi-compost, the little bins, they sell earthworms, and they're amazing right here in Durham, North Carolina. But earthworms are phenomenal creatures. In the phylum Annelida, they are, I always think about if I'm pronouncing the Latin right, but it's okay. In that phylum, right, it composes of just a slew of earthworms that are sometimes like millimeters long to at least 10 feet long. Amazing creatures, right? Just so long, so amazing. And the thing about earthworms that I love, especially for those of you who are into growing your own herbaceous perennials for medicinal benefits, is you can utilize them to make your soil living and to just perpetually aerate your soil. Aerate meaning add air into your soil, right? So earthworms are great. Today we're going to work on my compost or my vermicompost bin, which is just a bucket. This bucket here, right? And then I'm going to show you all just some that I've had in progress, okay? So I do things a little differently than most people. The biggest things you want to keep in mind is earthworms are creatures that are living. They don't want to be too hot or too cold, right? So don't put them in the hottest part of your house or your yard, your bins, but also, you know, we don't want them to go into sub-zero temperatures unless they're properly insulated. That's part 1 and 2. Part 3, sand and grit is important, I've learned, because it helps with their digestive system. We'll show a description or a little examplation of that in a later. And then water. Water and moisture is great. So I used to make little vermicompost bins and they would have no holes drilled on them, in them. And then when it would rain, because they wouldn't have any lids, or if I would just try to put a little water in there, I put too much, there wasn't anything to drain the excess. So in this bucket, for example, I was trying out different drilling methods. Hopefully you all can see it. Again, it's a little dirty because it's been in use, but I just drilled like holes all around, so that way I can get that good old vermicompost tea, those drippings, right? I want those things. So let's start with here. I have an earthworm. I just sat down. I'm not wearing glasses. I wanted to look good. I hope y'all like how I look, but now I like how I see. So earthworms, they are great. And let me just show you what's going on here. Earthworms are a two-party people, and as such, whatever goes in must come out. So just like us, our digestive system makes a poop that we flush away. We don't really use it unless you're like small grid and stuff. But the earthworms' feces, that remnants that comes through them, is what makes this black gold, right? So let's say, for example, I give the earthworm a piece of paper. I give them this here piece of paper. And I say, you know what, I'm going to break it down and tear it up, which we'll show you how to do that in a few. And I feed it into this side. So I'm going to push it through, and it's going to like mimic the digestive system. And as it's coming out, what comes on the other end is this black gold that we love ever so much. And it comes out and is dispersed amongst the rest of our vermicompost bin over time. More worms, having enough time to go through, will eventually break all of your compostable materials down, okay? So quick things I'll mention is here. We don't want anything that's greasy and oily to go into this. We don't want bones. We typically don't want dairy. I've played fast and loose with the dairy part, but we don't want any of those things. We want our materials to be torn down as much as possible. They're not going to be in this final bin, for example. I'm going to move them over, but these papers, for example, this toilet paper, or paper towel rather, I'm just going to tear it up so that way there's more surface area for them to kind of like decimate this, in addition to whatever other microbes just come in here. All right, but this is again a part of a bin that I had already that was chilling outside. And again, if I look through the bin and I dig long enough, eventually, somebody say eventually, I find what I'm looking for. I find a beautiful earthworm. This earthworm, again, in the phylum Annelida, is amazing. Look at it. And this little thing here, I'm not going to say he or she, they, because they're hermaphrodites. They are going to give me what I'm looking for. as far as breaking my soil down. Now, this can take months to effectively break your stuff down, right? But if you take care of them, they will take care of you. So let me show you what's up. So I am missing one tool that I have used several times, but I cannot seem to find anymore. And it's basically like a metal band, a ring that you can put on top of these type of buckets. It fits just about perfectly. And it can help you to like sort through your compost. So you can like actually like kind of like really sort through it like a gold mine. But chances are after I upload this video, I will find it then, and because it's gone, it's absconded, it's disappeared. So here's the thing. There's more than one way to skin a cat, right? But the main premise is I'm going to clean this out real quick, this bucket. There's going to be some points where I like fast forward through stuff. But I'm going to clean this bucket out and put the filter mesh on the bottom. This is going to be the same filter paper you've seen me use in my other videos. You can also use newspapers or like little other meshes or whatever that's permeable where water can get through. But I basically want liquid to get out, but my worms to stay in. This stuff will eventually biodegrade, but we're just gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, and again, I take all this dirt out on the bottom, so that way it's not like holding it up. I'm not gonna like perfectly clean this out. I've done that before and the worms still will escape. I'm just gonna clean it out enough, and then I'm gonna cover this bottom with my filter paper. Okay, and I basically want it where it's covering the holes. Bingo bongo. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just line this with just random coffee grounds I have. I've mixed some random refuse in the coffee grounds. You may see me also use some playground sand. I've used that before with some great success with my earthworms. So we're gonna get started with that. I need a shovel. I need a little hole. So we're gonna use a pot, change of plans, and I'm basically going to just use a little coffee ground to add nitrogen to the soil. There's other random stuff I've been kind of lightly composting in these coffee grounds. So I'm gonna add them in. Okay, and basically I'm just covering up the bottom of my container here. So once I start kind of slapping stuff around, they don't jump, or just the filter doesn't jump. You do not have to do this. You could just jump straight in if you want. But I know I use a lot of coffee grounds anyway, and this is just a way for me to kind of get rid of them. So on top of that, I'm going to add my already getting through the process vermi-compost. And basically I'm going to work slow and steady here so I don't overfill this bucket. Like when I would first start, I would just kind of go, and I had multiple buckets I would work with, but I'm going to go through. As I'm going through, I'm just going to tear up anything that was big. Some of the stuff I threw in there, I didn't really tear up all the way. Some of it I couldn't because I was just being lazy. So like this was somebody's cup, and the little paper is being exposed now. There's a little plastic here, but I can pick that plastic out later. And again, if I was to filter this out, the purpose would be again to just see what my vermicompost is looking like, see how it's looking, and to pick out anything that's not gigantinous, that isn't going to be broken down easy. Okay. So I'm taking note of how much of this I have because I don't want to overfill this container. This material is actually wet still, so I'm not going to even bother adding water to it. I'm just going to break down any chunks I see in here. Earthworms are tough babies, so I don't have to worry about like breaking them in half or anything. But like, ooh, this was a good pull. Like, look at this. Like, there's a couple of other ones just hiding in here. So I'm going to put them down in here. I also will sift my compost just to see like how many worms I see on average. Like if I'm seeing a lot, if I'm seeing a little bit, so I can know how healthy my system is. The more earthworms we have, the better. Okay. At this point, the paper towel I added earlier, I'm just gonna throw it in there. Some people will wet this up and, you know, throw it in there, but since my stuff is already kind of moist and it's like paper towel, I'm not gonna worry about it. So this is another example of something that was big. This is maybe like cardboard I used at the bottom. You can see kind of earthworms just crawling around it. Again, if I leave this in here this size long enough, they're gonna break it apart. They will. But I'm just gonna kind of lightly tear it so that way it'll be that much more easier. The smaller the pieces, the better. Because between just general composting and them eating it, it's gonna go just by quick. But yes, I don't add anything oily to this. I feel like I said that in the video. If y'all are trying to like get rid of a little oil in an organic way, I think bokashi helps with that. I can do something on that. You'll just have to practice it a little more. With most bins, when you're getting them arranged, you'll put like your new stuff on the bottom. I will often do like the lasagna kind of layers thing. Today I'm just kind of getting them resettled in here. So I'm just kind of checking on them. So I'm not gonna do like too much adding in here. I'm gonna add a little something though, just a little razzle dazzle. So these are chocolate husks. I get them from a local chocolate dispensary in the area. They take the cacao and they're processing and they kind of pulverize it. So I'm gonna add a little layer of that. They said you can use it as mulch, or that's what they call it, I guess, like a chocolate mulch. So I actually have used it as a mulch and it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. It smelled like chocolate the first day. It rained a little bit and then ended up like not smelling like chocolate too much more after. It was a beautiful bright like red though. It was awesome. And then ended up just like molding over and making this nice net to keep my earthworms safe. So net of my seed. There we go. Now I'm not gonna add any sand to this today because I do see it's a little sandy from past exploits. My earthworms give me what I'm looking for. And again, I don't mind going through here in the back end and like getting them to a place of happiness later. Come on. There we go. Okay, so those of you wondering, I'll vacuum all of this dirt up. There's times where I'll look through just to make sure I'm not like vacuuming up earthworms or something because they fall on the floor. You could definitely do this outside, but it's a little chilly out there, so I'm not going to do this. But again, this is my end result. It's a bucket that's almost full. I didn't go too much over the top here, which I'm excited about. I'm just going to do the last top dressing of this coffee grounds. This also had like some sugar cane I pulverized, random herbs I used, and it's actually quite warm, so it's definitely, something's definitely happening. Like, I know I don't have it hot in here. This is actually like a nice warm temperature. It's crazy. That's what happens when decomposition is happening. That heat is just being given off and it's great. So I'm going to keep this indoors, party people. I'll take like an old pillowcase and like cover this up and then like screw the top on. So that way the gnats will stay out. It'll also help with these type of buckets keep the earthworms from crawling out because I hate losing earthworms. I really do. Like I think the first time I tried this in here, like 30% of the worms had just crawled out and just died on the carpet. And it was so upsetting. But you can also do this outside. At that point, if they crawl out, they'll just, you know, be subject to whatever happens outside. There's other containers you can get, like I mentioned, which I feel like offer more protection, but I just like making my own stuff. So that's it, party people. Y'all make sure y'all tune in to see more stuff. I was going to show the other bin, but I'll show that next time. Have a good one.